Later that night, Ryusun made his way to Yigeng's abode and he disciplined him for taking Hajun out to drink. Afterwards, Ryusun asked Yigeng why he was causing trouble by taking his brother out drinking when he just returned back to the clan. Yigeng says he wasn't trying to cause trouble and apologized for his actions. Ryusun told Yigeng that in 5 years the 7-Star Council will be held again. If the 9 great sects have the Dragon and Phoenix Council, then the 7 great clans have the 7-Star Council. A long time ago it was a meeting for people to gather and compete with their martial arts, but it has since grown into a gathering for young and talented martial artists to form connections. Ryusun told Yigeng that Hajun will be attending the council. Yigeng told Ryusun that he was aware of the council and that Hajun was attending. Yigeng didn't plan on going because it's likely he would die soon after the council was held. Ryusun explained that the Moyong clan, Habukpeng clan, and the Qingrim's Tao sect will be visiting the Beak clan, and Ryusun assumed that they are planning to have their children form a friendly relationship with Hajun, and he wanted Yigeng to try and befriend them as well. Yigeng told Ryusun of his plan to not attend the 7-Star Council. However, Ryusun says he didn't care. He told Yigeng that the reason he punished him today was to fix his bad behavior. He told Yigeng not to behave so carelessly in front of the other clan's disciples, because it will bring shame to him and Hajun. Ryusun left and Xiangqin appeared telling Yigeng that he won't have to go searching for the Qingrim child anymore. Yigeng agreed, but he was wondering why his father was forcing him to meet with the other kids. Xiangqin says Ryusun is trying to create an opportunity for Yigeng to make new friends since he has none. Yigeng couldn't understand because he felt like he would be embarrassing for the Beak clan if they let the limp heir join the 7-Star Council. The clan manager entered Yigeng's room. He handed him something saying if he put it on his injury it would help. As he was exiting the room he winked at Yigeng saying it's a secret from the patriarch. Yigeng quickly opened the secret, and Xiangqin recognized the smell. It was the Beak clan's secret medicine. Yigeng smiled. He has a thought that his father is bad at being honest. Xiangqin told Yigeng to put the medicine on quickly and go to bed. He says he better hurry with his training given the situation. The next day Yigeng and Xiangqin were doing some training. Xiangqin observed Yigeng's posture saying it was all wrong. He says Yigeng mustn't move his body, not even an inch. Yigeng told him that he has been in the position for more than an hour already and he is getting tired. Shortly after Yigeng fell to the ground due to his exhaustion, Xiangqin told him that if he is on the floor he should sit cross-legged. He told Yigeng that he will now teach him how to recover his innate core energy using spiritual power. Since Yigeng has used up all of his stamina, it should be easier to feel the innate core energy. Yigeng was confused. He asked Xiangqin what he meant by using spiritual power to recover innate core energy. Xiangqin explained that the human body is like a fountain with 3 sources. The spiritual power of the upper energy core fills the central energy core with innate core energy. The central energy core's innate energy fills the lower energy core with inner energy, and it's actually impossible to grow your innate core energy even if you possessed a Pixu's eye. To grow your innate core energy you would need something like the dragon's wish-fulfilling jewel. But Yigeng was able to see Xiangqin use spiritual power, which means his divine eye is somewhat open, and this can only be achieved by having a pure heart. A few hours of following Xiangqin's teachings later, Yigeng began to cough up a weird substance. Yigeng was surprised because Xiangqin's teaching actually worked. Xiangqin says what Yigeng just coughed up is bad energy that has been extracted. He asked Yigeng how he was feeling, and Yigeng says he was feeling much better. Xiangqin told Yigeng that he should be able to easily use Qinggong now. He says Yigeng should be able to take the next step now. Yigeng turned to Xiangqin wondering what the next step could be. Xiangqin asked Yigeng if he knows what it would be like if humans were able to harden their fists like steel. Xiangqin didn't give Yigeng a chance to answer. He says it will become easier for people to break someone's nose. Hardening is the second step of the Taiyan Meridian, but getting to the point where Yigeng will be able to break someone's nose will take a long time. But since it was so late already, Xiangqin says he will teach Yigeng the basics tomorrow. Later that night Xiangqin caught Yigeng sneaking out. He reminds him about the punishment he received the previous night, and Yigeng says he won't get punished this time because he got permission to leave. He was going to meet the Hao sect disciple. Meanwhile, at the top golden pavilion the 7 sect disciples had gathered. Moyong Jin, the future candidate for the 7-Star Council, was joined by Moyong Tak. Tak had a taste of the wine and says this pavilion always serves the best drinks. Jin Leon Qinggrim's second disciple asked Tak if he should be drinking when they are going to meet the Beak clan patriarch tomorrow. Tak says since they came all the way to Zion they need to enjoy themselves. He asked Leon if he would like a drink as well. Leon refused. She glanced over at Peng Mua, the future candidate for the 7-Star Council. However, Mua wasn't paying attention to their conversation. Jin turned to Tak saying since Tak was stronger than Yigeng, then he must be stronger than Hajun. Tak said he wasn't sure, but they will see once they meet the heirs to the Beak clan. With his mouth full, Jin replied saying he is excited to find out. Mua became irritated because Jin was spitting food everywhere. She told him to close his mouth when eating. and Jin quickly apologized. Leon got up from the table and excused herself. She exited the room the other disciples were staying in, and after getting some fresh air she was feeling much better. Leon thought she was finally going to be able to return to her sect after 4 years, but she suddenly received a letter from her master that read, "A red star has risen in the northern skies. A new wave seems to have swept over the Beak clan, so go check it out." Chingrim gave her one of his treasures, a bracelet that is said to vibrate when it senses something divine or mysterious, and even though she wanted to go home, Leon had no choice but to trust the bracelet. Manhwa exited the room as well to talk to Leon. Leon told her that she should have stayed with the other disciples a bit longer. She asked Manhwa why she suddenly left, and Manhwa said she didn't want to see Jin and Tak's faces any longer than she had to. Especially Jin. She says it's so obvious that he likes her. She told Leon that Jin is weaker than she is, but he is pretending to be strong, and she didn't like that. Leon laughed. She asked Manhwa what type of boy she likes, if not the ones who act strong. Manhwa says she would want a weak boy to protect. Leon found Manhwa's taste to be quite unique. Manhwa gave Leon a hug, saying she will still be her favorite person though, and Leon says that makes her happy. Manhwa asked Leon if she wanted to go for a walk. She says going for a walk makes her feel better after being lectured. Leon realized that Manhwa came out because she was worried about her. She told Manhwa that she would take her advice. Manhwa told her to be careful because it's almost midnight. Afterwards, she went back into her room. Outside the pavilion, Leon was lost. She didn't know where to go or what to do. Suddenly, Yoongu called out to someone in her direction. Leon thought Yoongu was calling out to her. This confused her because she had never met him before. Yigang walked past her and he began approaching Yoongu. Yoongu complimented Yigang's looks, saying he looks like he was carved out of a jade. Yigang smiled. He thanked Yoongu for the compliment and praised him for recognizing him right away. Leon was in shock. She couldn't sense Yigang's presence until he was behind her. Her bracelet suddenly started reacting to Yigang. She concluded that Yigang is no ordinary person, and she decided to follow him because he might be related to her master's message. At a gravesite, Yigang praised Yoongu's sect again because he was able to get the information he requested in 2 days. Seongchan says he doesn't know how good the information Yoongu gathered is yet, but he was still impressed that they got back to Yigang in just 2 days. Yigang decided to check the contents of the letter when he returned home, and he stored it inside his shirt. If the contents of the letter are good, he plans to request for the inspection of the identity of the assassins who tried to take his life, and for the person that hired them. Seongchan thought this was a good idea. Yigang made his way to Soa's grave, and after arriving he spoke to the headstone asking how she was doing. He says Soa was right, his life has been better after coming back to the main residence. In a flashback before the assassins came after them, Soa asked Yigang to return to the main residence, however he refused, and she told him that he should be together with his family. Yigang told Soa that she doesn't have a family so she wouldn't understand. Soa smiled and said Yigang is her family. In the present, Yigang asked Seongchan if he knows what happened to Soa. Seongchan says he doesn't. He told Yigang that not everyone who dies becomes a ghost. He says after reaching the state of absoluteness, his upper energy core was opened, and he opened his divine eyes. He attained a higher understanding, and that's why his consciousness is still here even after losing his body. Yigang says he recalled Seongchan saying he also has spiritual power. Seongchan says since Yigang reincarnated and was born with Taeyin Kai blockage, he assumes Yigang's spiritual power is higher than normal. Yigang became excited. He asked Seongchan how his spiritual power compared to his. Seongchan laughed and said if Yigang's was like water in a sauce plate, then his would be like a lake of fire. Yigang didn't realize that there was such a difference between him and Seongchan. Seongchan asked Yigang if he is curious to see what the world is like through the eyes of someone who has reached the state of absoluteness. Curious Yigang said yes, and Seongchan placed his hand on Yigang's head. He said since Yigang's body has gotten much better, letting him see the world through his eyes for just a moment should be okay. He told Yigang that he will lend him part of his spiritual power through the pathway connected to his upper energy core. After Seongchan lent him his power, Yigang opened his eyes in disbelief. Lights were everywhere, however his body started reacting negatively and Seongchan took back his lent power. Seongchan told Yigang that his body isn't ready yet. Leon, who was hiding from the bushes, suddenly sprung from the bushes. Seongchan noticed her, and he asked Yigang if he knew the person. However, Yigang didn't know her either. Earlier, Leon followed Yigang all the way to Soa's grave. She was planning to head back because peeking at someone who is paying respects to the dead is frowned upon, and she couldn't bring shame to Chengrim. However, as she was leaving, the bracelet suddenly started reacting again, and when she looked at Yigang, his aura was overflowing. It was like she was facing a martial artist of the same level as the Chengrim patriarch. A few seconds later, the aura was gone, and Leon dropped to the ground grabbing her chest. In the present, Yiging approached her asking why she was sneaking peeks at him when he was paying respect to the dead. Yiging says Leon must be a martial artist since she is carrying a sword with her. He says a martial artist may be free, but she was crossing the line. Leon apologized. Yiging dismissed her saying he is displeased, and Leon left quickly. Seongchin recognized Leon's Qinggong method, and he told Yiging that it's Qinggrim's. Yiging was shocked because that means Leon is the person who is visiting the Beak clan. He asked Seongchin if he thought Leon would be offended by anything he said. Seongchin laughed, saying it would have been funny if Yiging said anything offensive. The next day at the Red Dragon Hall, the disciples of the other sect met with Yiging and Hajun. As they made their way through the Beak clan, Tak told Yiging that he met the patriarch and his aura was very impressive. He says he seems to be as powerful as the rumors say. Yiging agreed and said he would like to meet the scholar's sword, even if it's just once. The whole time Leon couldn't take her eyes off of Yiging. She recognized him as the person from the grave site yesterday, and she concluded that her patriarch's message was correct. Manhwa noticed that Leon has been staring at Yiging. She whispered to her asking if she liked him too. Leon told Manhwa that it wasn't like that. Manhwa became excited. She thought there wouldn't be someone like Yiging in the Beak clan. She turned to Leon asking if she thinks Yiging is good at fighting. Leon says she isn't sure. Jin approached Hajun hoping for a handshake. He introduced himself and says since he is a year older, Hajun could speak to him casually. Hajun didn't know how to shake hands, so Jin decided to teach him. However, Hajun was still using the wrong hand, so Yiging decided to teach him later. They made their way into the Ruby Training Hall. The other sect disciples looked around amazed. Tak turned to Yiging saying he heard that this is something like a sacred place where only the direct lineage of the Beak clan can enter. He asked Yiging if Hajun trains in the Ruby Hall alone. Yiging says Hajun was training alone for a long time, but recently he has been training here too. Jin sneered at Yiging saying basic fitness is important for Yiging when his body is so fragile. Manhwa was excited. She asked if she heard correctly that Yiging has a fragile body. Jin replied saying Yiging was born with Kai blockage so he can't learn martial art. Manhwa thought that was sad, however Jin says it's not. He told her that he heard a rumor that Yiging is lazy and wild. Hajun threw a wooden sword at Jin saying the person he just insulted was his one and only older brother, and he challenged him to a duel. Leon turned to Tak asking if they shouldn't stop the fight. Tak says Hajun and Jin will have to fight at some point, so it's better they do it now. Jin picked up the wooden sword. He didn't really want to fight, he just wanted to look good in front of Manhwa, and he thought it would be fine to insult Yiging because he thought Hajuna and Yiging didn't have a good relationship. He asked Hajun not to hate him if he showed him no mercy. Hajun remained silent. Jin has practiced how to defend against the Beak clan's Heaven and Earth Blade hundreds of times, but he couldn't see a single opening in Hajun's stance. Hajun became distracted after Yiging began to cough up blood and he let his guard down. Jin thought this was his chance, but if he attacked Hajun now his image as a renowned disciple will be ruined. He looked to the sidelines noticing that Tak was sneering at him. Not wanting to disappoint Tak, Jin attacked, but Hajun was able to dodge. Using the opportunity, Hajun punched Jin in the face sending him backwards. Hajun closed in to finish the deal but Jin managed to block. However, he and Hajun lost their swords in the process. Jin tried kneeing Hajun in the face, but Hajun blocked, and before he could counter, Tak stopped the fight. He reminds them that this is a duel for the sake of friendship, and says they are getting too worked up. He says even though they are childs, he didn't expect them to be so into it. Even though he stopped the match, he thought it was a shame they couldn't decide on a winner. Using the distant whispering technique, Tak whispered to Jin saying he was a fool and had brought shame to the family for not making the most of that opening. Yiging bonked Hajun on the head saying he knows better than to get distracted during a duel. Hajun said he got concerned because Yiging was coughing up blood. Yiging told Hajun not to worry. He says it happens often, so Hajun shouldn't make it dramatic. Yiging noticed that Jin was also getting scolded, yet he and Tak looked so affectionate. He told Hajun not to get distracted in a duel again. Hajun apologized, and Yiging said it's okay since he won. Tak heard this and he turned to Yiging asking how Hajun won. Yiging says anyone could see that Hajun would have won if the duel continued. Tak said it's good to be competitive but Yiging shouldn't be trying to force results. Yiging said he wasn't. He asked Jin to help his brother up, then he will see what he meant. Tak turned around asking Jin to get up, however he couldn't. Tak looked confused, so Yiging explained that Jin couldn't stand because Hajun's hand hit the pressure point in his lower leg when he tried to knee him. Yiging says Jin's leg will be in pain for at least a few hours. Tak was surprised Yiging was able to see that. He was in disbelief, because he thought there was no way for a weakling like Yiging to see something that he couldn't see. Even though he was mad, he put on a front praising Yiging for his eyes, and Yiging thanked him. Seongchin laughed saying Yiging wouldn't have known if he didn't tell him, but he says it feels refreshing to get Tak back after he made those remarks about Yiging. Yigeng was happy too because he got back at Tak and he couldn't let him act like the duel was a tie. Leon concluded that Yigeng wasn't an ordinary child, and Manhwa confessed to Leon that she might like Yigeng a bit. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video then hit the like button.